Hey guys, I want to talk today about a bug out toolkit. Now, there's not a ton of videos, which kind of prompted me to make this, about toolkits for bugging out, and a lot of them are kind of urban based that are centered around the idea of like breaking into places to get survival goods and stuff like that. And I wanted to kind of redo the idea with things you might need in a complete and total bug out situation. And this is going to be two parts. The first part here is going to be kind of general tools, and the second part is going to be homestead tools, things you might need at your bug out location in order to kind of live, you know, that normal healthy life, you know, especially if you bugged out, you probably can't go home. So first step, tools. Bear with me, probably going to be a longer video and all that. So first of all, we'll talk, what do you want to keep your tools in? Well, it would seem very easy to say, hey, let's put them in my bug out bag. And I don't think that's a very good idea though, because tools are very heavy, they take up a lot of space, and if they no longer become necessary to your bug out situation, you definitely want the ability to ditch them. So I think your best choices are maybe like a molly pouch or a butt pouch, or even just a small duffel bag. I like the idea of a duffel bag because I can throw it in my car, I can carry it separate from my bug out bag, and if something happens and it's no longer necessary, I can literally just drop it and walk away. I don't have to take anything out of my bag, I don't have to move things around. These are just tools, so there's nothing in there that I would need to continue should, you know, I end up in a shelter or make it to where I need to be or whatever. I can just drop it and walk away. So with that said, I do like the idea, and you don't have to do this, but I do like the idea of keeping it like a small duffel, because it does give me that ability, like say I'm being chased, just to drop the heavy duffel and walk away. You know, molly to me, yeah, it's great, but do I really want to take my backpack off to drop 10 pounds of tools? No. So I like it in that I can take it or leave it in a heartbeat. All I have to do is let go, all I have to do is pick it up. So I do like that. So without further ado, what kind of tools do you need? Well, the situations you're going to run into could be anything. And to prepare for that is damn near impossible. So, a good, sturdy utility knife. Very important tool. I like this old Stanley because number one, you can get these things at like garage sales and flea markets for nothing. They usually come with a nice little blade cover, so they're good to go. You don't have to screw around. You just pull that blade cover off and you're good to go. And inside, you can store a whole bunch of extra blades. I think it's really important is to make sure no matter what you get one that can store blades in the handle. I think that's really important. This one's not that heavy. It looks heavier than it really is, but you know, I know I'd rather have something that's going to be a good quality tool than something that's going to break on me. Small pair of needle-nose pliers, a million uses. They're really handy. You know what? I'm sure you're probably going to have like a Leatherman in your bug out bag, but this is a nice extra and backup. They don't cost much. They don't take up a ton of weight. Work gloves, good heavy work gloves. Something you're not going to put in your bug out bag, or maybe you have a pair in your bug out bag. Never hurts to have an extra. And like I said, if you drop it, well, this is a two-piecer. I prefer a good ratcheting screwdriver with a bit set, rather than just getting like a Phillips head and a slotted screwdriver. This gives me a lot more options. You can see we got Torx bits, hex bits, Allen heads, a lot of things, especially if you're trying to get into something. A lot of times they have those little Torx bits protecting them. Adjusting firearms lots of times uses unusual bits. So I think it's really important to have a good bit set and a decent ratcheting screwdriver to do it. You don't have to go this extreme. There's much smaller sets than this. There's bigger sets, you know, it depends on what your needs. I think this right here fits a lot of my needs. I've kind of found this cheapo Husky to actually be a pretty good quality ratcheting screwdriver. I actually use it quite a bit, and it still sounds great. You know, a lot of these things tend to wear down, especially the cheap Chinese stuff. good Crescent Wrench. Well, this isn't a good one, it's a Husky. But the reason why I like this Husky is because you can see it has measurements. Tough to see because they're etched, not. It has measurements, so you can actually, if you are, say, in the process of taking a nut or bolt off, you can use this, and it has measurements in metric and standard. So if you need to know if it's a 14 millimeter nut, you can actually pre-measure it with this, and then know what tools you're going to need. These Crescent Wrenches are they're really strong. You know, they're not the best for taking off really seized up nuts and bolts. They do have a tendency to round them out because they're only making contact on two sides there. But one of these can be really handy for a lot of things. Of course, they come in sizes big and small. I happen to like this one. Like, you know, like I said, even though it's foreign made and not as good, I like it because it does have those markings. So it's up to you. You know, if you want to get yourself a nice, good, strong American-made one, you know, more power to you. Okay. Good crowbar. This one here, I have a little kind of paracord lanyard I put onto it. And why is that? Well, if I have to use this as a weapon, you know, but I could definitely see using this as an escape tool, getting out of a location. Maybe you're locked in someplace, maybe you need to access someplace. This is something that will easily take off locks, help you break through fences, things like that. This is primarily a getting into places kind of tool. This is just a cheap Stanley. Probably get this at Walmart for like $6. I do like these rounder ones because they make a better weapon. Hacksaw. I like these two-piece ones because you can take them apart. So if you are using a smaller bag, you can put them into smaller pieces and put them in the bag for easier storage. So really handy. It's what you're going to get you through any metal, which means getting you through fences, chains, getting through cutting maybe pieces of metal to fabricate things that you need. Very, very, very handy tool. Small hammer. Come on, you know, we don't have to explain that one. Whoops. Yeah, Wife's going to be pleased with me when I break the glass table. A rasp for shaping wood. This is something, you never know. I think you get these kind of cheaper ones. They don't work as good as nicer ones, but they're a little lighter weight. And I think in the emergency that I have to make a new handle for a tool, that rasp will come in very good hands. Some tin snips, I think a great tool, used for cutting metal, thin metal, things like that. You know, maybe you got to make something, you know, tear down some sheet metal to build a shelter or a shanty or something like that. You want to shape some metal or do something with sheet metal, make something that you need. Those are really, really handy, and they come in all different sizes too, if it's a good size for just a little folding saw, kind of like a pruning style saw. I've had this one for many years. It's seen a lot of backpacking trips. That's very handy if you're on your bug out and say a tree branch falls in the road or something like that. You need to clear it. Very, very handy. Okay, this total socket set from Husky. God damn, do I love this. This has actually seen a surprising amount of use, and I found it to be quite handy. The ranges on these, it's actually a lot of adjustment on these, and they hold to nuts really well. I've actually, believe it or not, I've actually put these on my lug nuts to kind of see how they fit on lug, and they fit lug nuts. You know, granted, lug nuts aren't going to work because it's not offset, but this will fit, you know, from pretty large to pretty small. And when you tighten it down on things, it's pretty much just like a, you know, like a 6-point socket almost. It has a good amount of contact. It doesn't seem to round over the bolts at all because it's got that nice sharp V in there. And these things are really tough, heavyweight, and worm gears, they're really tough. You're not going to destroy a worm gear. You really have to abuse this, but I find this to be very handy because it covers a lot of ground with nuts and bolts, and plus having two of them, you know, you can use one for loosening, one as a backer. They're very, very handy, and I kind of find that these are a very handy homestead tool. If I'm going to, say, do something with the lawnmower or whatever, I tend to grab these before anything else because I can grab the two of these and it basically covers almost everything I need. And like I said, I can use one as a backer, one as a, you know, to turn, and it's a nice little two set. And I tell you guys, when they put these on sale again around Christmas time, snag them up. They're actually really handy. I've gotten a surprising amount of use out of them. Pair of channel locks. These are good if you're messing around with pipes. Hey, maybe you need to get some water out of some pipes to survive. These might be something you want. They're handy for turning nuts and bolts. They're good for many, many different things. Who knows? Maybe you're taking off an oil filter off a car and to get some oil to start a fire or whatever. These come in all different sizes, from small to large. Very, very, very handy tool, and can a lot of multiple different uses for it, from nuts and bolts to automotive stuff to, you know, pipes and plumbing. Linesman pliers. Pair of linesman pliers are fantastic. I think they're the most useful kind of pliers in that they have the cutter, they have the ability to turn nuts and bolts. They're usually pretty big and stout and heavy. They tend to be very handy. And I think in a survival situation, having this as a wire cutter, being able to cut wire, okay, so maybe you're bugging out, your vehicle dies, you're trying to salvage everything off your vehicle you can to survive. You're going to want wire, you're going to want things like that, having a good wire cutter, things to bend and twist, you know, metal and wire and all that with, really handy. And these linesman pliers, I think, are kind of a nice multi-tool, that they're pliers and a cutter all in one. If that doesn't fit your fancy, just get yourself a nice old pair of cutters. Tell you what, guys, the old ones, 99% of the time, are usually the best. You know, spray them down with a little WD-40, and 9 times out of 10 they are good as new. Oh, here's a gem. Here is an absolute gem. Offset screwdriver sets. Now this one here is Torx, but when you get these in the Phillips and regular, these are absolute dynamite. And why is that? These are fantastic for taking doorknobs off. For some reason, these just work perfect. And when you're trying to get into places and get around locks and things like that, an offset screwdriver is awesome because it lets you get into those places you don't normally can get into. And if you have that capability to take a doorknob off, yeah, you can really speed the process up. Small little nail puller. I think these are really cool too. If you are doing something and pulling some nails, it's good not just to have the big wrecking bar, but a small nail puller as well. Very handy tool. How about this tiny little hacksaw? I think this is like a dollar store kind of brand one. Once again, nice little thing. Maybe you need to cut through a bolt. Maybe you need to cut through something like that. I've actually used these to cut bolts down to length. They, you know, it takes a couple of minutes, but you know, if you're trying to access a place, you know, you have the hacksaw. Why not grab one of these little tiny ones as well, so you can have someone else who can help you out and start cutting on the other end or something. Very important tool. A small magnetic extendable thing. It's always when you're working on things in a hurry, in a rush, you tend to drop things. Having a small magnetic grabber, absolute dynamite in your kit. And last, a file. You know what? So many uses for this, from sharpening tools to cutting through metal. Very, very important thing to have, I think. And you know, you might even want to consider one or two. They definitely are worth their weight in gold, especially in a situation where you may have to modify or make tools or do things to survive. So One last thing, small flexible tape measure. These are really good because, like I said, you may need to make things, you may need to have to do things that you don't expect, and those are really good. Say you are trying to get your vehicle someplace and you need to check for clearance, you need to check to make sure your vehicle is going to fit, or maybe you're just making something or building something or whatever. Those are absolute dynamite. Now there you go, guys. All those tools are just, and you know what it is, these are tools. They're not something necessary for your bug out. They're an extra. I designed it to be that way, so these are things that would complement my bug out bag rather than be a part of it. And like I said, with this little duffel bag, I can drop this in a heartbeat and just walk away from it, and I don't have to worry about taking anything off or anything like that, because all these tools are just extra. So hope you enjoyed.